Hi guys and girls out there. So I'm doing some different stuff. If you're finding this for the first time, I'm actually a magician. But I thought I'd start branching out my YouTube channel and helping out people who are like me, beginners at Warhammer. Or specifically in this case, Warhammer 40,000. So today's video is to help you guys. It's to help you guys by learning from the mistakes I made in recent months when I just started. And you might just got a starter set for Christmas or your birthday. And you're thinking, okay, so how do I start building these models? So you may have got something like one of these for Christmas or birthday. Or maybe you got really lucky and you got the beast, the Indomitus box set. Both pretty awesome. And I got my Indomitus box yesterday. So today I'm filming videos on how to build the Primaris Intercessor. Or Intercessor, however you want to pronounce it. The basic Space Marine. That's this video. So if you're sitting there this morning or this afternoon, or whenever it is you're seeing this video and thinking, okay, I've got some plastic. What do I do with it? What do I need? How do I get it to turn into something like one of these? Now mine aren't fully finished painting yet. I've still got to do highlighting and glossing. And I chose to go for a different colour scheme to the Ultramarines. Because, well, honestly, I've got a Judge Dredd game and I've painted lots of blue men lately, so I wanted to do something a bit different. But if you want to figure out how do I get from this to this, stay tuned. I'm also going to talk to you about some of the mistakes I made as I started off. And what I will do is I will first show you the push fit method, and then I will show you the glue it method, which is how I prefer my models. So I'm going to go over the shoulder, and yeah, let's have some fun. Okay, so let's get my sleeves out of the way. So I've got a little chopping board. Normally I do everything with newspaper down, but it obviously doesn't look too great on a camera. So I have a chopping board, just a £2 chopping board from your standard housewares store like the Range or Wix or I guess from Wilkinson's, sorry. And to build this, you're going to preferably need some clippers like these. Now, if you haven't got these, whoever in your house has a toolbox might have something for clipping and cutting wires with. That might work. You can use one of these, but they're a bit more sharp and dangerous. So if you haven't got clippers, especially my younger viewers, please ask someone for help. Now, if you're wondering where do you get these, your local games store will have everything you need, whether it's a Warhammer shop or an independent. I use an independent shop in Ipswich called Langdon Models, and I got these in a box of paints, a beginner's paint set. What I'll do, I'll quickly go and grab it and I'll bring it into the shop. So this is a beginner's paint set I bought when I was just starting off actually on Judge Dredd. And it comes, they're about £25, which is actually a really good value for it because you get quite a lot of paint as well. And it comes with the clippers, a brush and a mould line remover. Something I'll explain as we're going through. So if you're just getting started out and you've just got a starter set for Christmas, you're thinking, what do I do next? I definitely recommend one of these. Right, so what else have we got? In your starter set, your Indomitus box or whatever, you will have something that looks like this. Now, if you've got the Recruit edition, it will look a little different. This is the Indomitus box set, so it shows me how to build all of this stuff. But the rule of thumb is it's still the same information. Okay, it's just as long as it's got the same models in it, you're good. So we are looking today at the bog standard Primaris Intercessors. Intercessor squad. Okay, so if you've got the Indomitus box, this is what we're looking for. If you've got the Recruit edition in front of you, okay, so you'll have this book. Depending which one you've got, and there is a section here about how to build each model you have got. So here we are. Okay, so I'm going to be building from the Indomitus box today, but if you're using a different edition, it doesn't matter. The step-by-step is still the same because these are core models. So grab your booklet, grab your models, and let's have a go. So I'm only going to take you through one model to show you the process. I'm not going to take you through a whole squad because that would be boring. So what we're looking at here is first you find the correct sprues. Now, if in doubt, try to look at the weapons and the general what's on there. If you were to get a different sprue, So, if you've got, for example, this one, this is clearly something very, very different. It's motorbikes, it's your Outriders. If you've got the Recruit Edition or the Stand Edition, you'll have less sprues, so it should be fairly obvious. Okay, now what you've then got to do is check, have you got the right numbered bits and pieces? And what you'll see, so this is a full squad, okay? And you can see I've got 2 of them. You get 4 soldiers and a sergeant. And all the parts are on here, and you'll see each part is numbered. So if we turn it around, and then on here it tells you which bits you need. Now when you've got these bits in different colours, that's to suggest to you different options you can take. So if you wanted to equip them differently, so this particular panel is about 2 options for the sergeant, who's the leader of a squad. And then over here you'll see that for the regulars we don't have options, we just have, each one is individual. So here's the first thing I learned. Don't cut out all the bits on here, not straight away, only cut out what you need, because each figure is different. I'm going to say it again, each figure is different. Okay, if you get my nearly finished paintwork ones, they're not quite done yet, they need highlighting. But each one has a slightly different pose. The parts do not all fit each other. So if you cut them all up, then you end up with a big pile of bits. And no hope in hell of solving that quickly. Trust me. You also have bases. Mine are still in the box. I'll get those a bit later on. Okay. And you need to make sure you've got the right size. So if you're looking at the Indomitus box, it's a massive pouch like this. If I open it up, I'll find you a 32. Sorry, you can't hear me. If I open up, this is a 32mm base. Okay, you can always measure it, but it's your standard size. Okay, I'll need one of those later. So if I want to build, let's say, this fellow, I need parts. Let's see. I need parts A1, 4, 2, 10, 13, 11, 14 and 12. So, now what you can do, if you've got a Sharpie, is as you're searching for the parts, you can either cut them out straight away or you could circle them. So let's see, we need, let's go with a bolter arm, A11. He's holding his gun in his left hand. So what we're looking for, and it's about as exciting as it looks. So that one's going to be 14. And what you can tell because it nudges out slightly to point you in, it's this one. Okay. And then what you do, if I just take the first couple of bits I found, is you get your clippers, and I'll do it right close to the camera. That is in the shot. And you are looking to clip with the flat edge against the model as close as possible. Then it'll come out. And then you get your next bit. Now, once you've got your first couple of bits, this is where the mold line remover comes in. That's this. And you can get nicer ones with a handle, but this does the job. If you've got any little bits, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little bit of mold line about here in the middle. This will let me scrape off just a tiny amount of plastic to smooth that off. I can clean up the model. And now, I don't worry too much bits on the shoulder. They tend to be okay, covered with paint. But the big chunky bits, you kind of want to clean up. If we get the arm. Bit there. bit on his there. And we just use this to take off just a tiny amount of plastic, which then tidies it all up nicely. You know if you've got it right, because it'll be smooth. And that's just the start. Obviously, we need to get the rest of the parts. So I'm now going to pause the video. So you'd have to watch me find each individual part. Okay, I'm pausing. I just want to point out a couple of things as I'm clipping these out. So as you can see, I'm making progress. And what I'm doing is I'm ticking them off as I find each part I need. But some of the parts you'll notice, if you didn't know about this, see this little part sticking out here? I need that. So when I clip, I'm just taking the triangular part off. I need that little peg. Okay. So don't clip that bit off. There are several other parts where I had similar bits like the heads. You'll see this little triangle nub by my finger. You need this bit. Okay. Whichever model it is, that's a sergeant. But you need that bit under his head to hold it into the model. So you cut this piece, but keep this piece intact. Same when you get to like a foot with a peg at the bottom here, I need this. Okay, otherwise the model will not fit together. Back to the cutting. Okay, we're back. And here's some parts I found earlier. So we've now got all the parts to make one model. You'll notice I've left the rest on the sprue. So now you need to figure out the order. Now let's talk about some of the parts. Okay, if we lay them out roughly, you can go, right, well, he's got a head, a backpack, that goes back in the back, chest piece, he's got a sword that looks like it's going to attach to his belt. It's not in his hand in this one. He's holding his gun in that hand. This hand's free as he's running. That is more or less the parts. Now, these are called easy fits nowadays. You'll see all these little pegs on everything. These little pegs will line up with little holes and will push in and hold it together. So you have two choices. You can either just push them all together and leave it be, then paint it, or you can glue it. Now, I prefer to glue it. That's my preference. For that, I just use super glue. You can use plastic glue. Okay. Difference is this melts the plastic slightly to bond it together. Not enough to be worried, and I prefer it in bottles like this because I find it easier to apply and easier to fix when it glues itself up. And what it's suggesting here is that you build the body and the head first. Now, typically, I like to do the head first because once that's in, it's quite a fiddly piece. So you want it in and out of the way forever. Now, I've picked one of the more awkward ones at random here because he's also got to attach this part to his belt. This part will slide in here and will sit in there. Okay, and it's all very particular fit. So you get the head, you get that in there. Can we see it okay? A bit closer. Let's stand up. Oh, I'm going to try and come a bit closer to the camera. This is one of the reasons I prefer to glue, because the heads tend to fall off. Now, where's the chest piece? The chest piece has one little plug, and this little piece is going to go in there. Now, looking at it, with this one, I can do the lower part of the body first. Depends on the model. So you put that in, and then that piece in. Then push it together quite firmly. Then I can go on and do the head and the other part of the chest. See, that's going to go into that hole. And it will fit right there. You see that little hole? The head needs to go in there before it's too late. I squeeze together.
Okay. And then once you've done that, you'll see these little pegs, the arms, sit on it. And they go in and you kind of twist and manipulate it a bit until it's in sequence. Now I'm going to glue mine. So when you're gluing, always have a piece of kitchen towel nearby, just in case. Take it slow and take your time. Now, you're going to glue, if you're going to glue it, in the same order you would put it together. But remember, if you're gluing, then you can't change it if you get it wrong. Quite hilariously, if I get my lieutenant, who's not done yet, his head I put in, I didn't realise he should have been pointing this way to give him like an action pose. So instead I've got a I'm hard, come on then, kind of pose going on. Ultimately, you can choose. Now, when you're gluing, it takes a lot of pressure because the glue and the pegs are a very tight fit. And you might get a little air bubble. Okay, so what you can do, you don't have to do it, you can, is you could trim the stub down a bit and then glue the seams a bit more instead. Okay, the stub, I mean, is there, this little peg. Now, I'm actually going to trim a teeny bit off that to allow space for air in here. That's my personal choice. My first set I didn't, and it still worked fine. I just found it took a lot of pressure to put them together. So if we go, right, I want to get the sword in first, because this one, unlike the others, he's got it on his side. And I want it in there and out the way, done and dusted. So I get a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, it's dried up. Pause. Okay, we're back. I fixed the glue. Now, I'm going to say this. You don't have to glue these. Okay, they're intended to not need gluing. So if you're new to this and you're a bit worried about making mistakes, don't glue. You can put them together. They will hold. I just prefer the extra line of security myself, of knowing that they'll be stuck. So I go in here. Slip that into place. I add a little bit of pressure. Now that bit's a pretty easy fit. So that's that bit done. Okay. And I've tried to line up the seams and the belt. See if I put too much pressure, it comes apart. And just give that a moment. So while that bit's drying, I'm looking, what's the next piece I need to do? What it's told me is that in this particular model, the arms are pretty much the last thing you're going to do along with the backpack. So my next job is to attach this part, and I can push it in, just push fit. As I said, I prefer to glue. And I don't put a lot of glue, I just put a little bit. Put it along the areas where there's going to be contact. I put a little bit on the stick, the peg, whatever you want to call it. Notice I'm doing very, very tiny amounts. It doesn't need a lot, and if you put too much glue, what you end up with is a problem because it will spurt out everywhere. So it goes together. I could have just pushed it as it is, and then got the glue on my fingers. And then add a bit of pressure to help that stick. So you can see it doesn't stick well at the join. Hence why I prefer a bit of glue in there. And you just hold it until it's stuck. Okay, that seems to have stuck now. So now I'm going to do the head. Okay, because as I said, I can't leave that till the end. And this little bit here is what holds the head in place. Same as before, I'm going to just go right in and go, right, where do I want to stick it? A little bit of glue, a little bit, not a lot. Try not to get it on the areas I'm going to paint, because then obviously It's not my problem if there's a bit of glue spurting on the inside. And shot. Just going to kind of get him in there. And I'm not too worried. It's not sitting quite tidy yet because I haven't put the chest piece in. And I'm going to follow the process I did earlier. A little bit, not a lot, just a little along the seam lines. Hold in place. You're going to get a lot of glue on your fingers doing this. It does eventually come off. There you have it. Again, pressure until it's dried. If you want to turn the head, now is your last chance. Okay, you hold that together. Try not to glue yourself together. And there you can see it's starting to come together. And see what we're working with. Okay, we've got a little bit of cleanup I'm going to need to do, but there's my mold line remover. I didn't see that bit earlier. And all I do for that, I just scrape a little bit off. There, the arm's going to go there anyway, so probably won't be able to see it. And then with the arms, same process, glue and shove them on. With the arm, I can angle it, so he's been showing us having it kind of slightly behind. I've put it about there. I could have it up higher if I wanted, but it comes away from the body a bit. It looks like it's meant to go about here. It fits tighter. Then the other peg. The arms go on pretty well. I don't need to trim these or anything like that. You can if it goes wrong. You could just kind of glue it on and then pose it yourself. But I would suggest, especially for your first set, do it as they intended. So it looks like it's a downward pose. There we go, it's on. I might angle it slightly up. There we go, that's a better fit. You can see inside if it's a good fit. Oh, out of shot. Okay, there we go. And then we just have to stick on his backpack. Again, you can just push fit. It's just, I like a bit more security. Not a lot, just a little bit. To know that it's not going to come apart. Ever. And there we have it. One Primaris Intercessor. And then all you have to do is that little hole goes in there. You choose where you want him to be facing. Push it. See there, you can see it's a bit over, isn't he? So I'm going to turn it. He's got a running man kind of pose. And you've made your first Space Marine. Just like that. And then you can base it or do whatever you like with it. There you go. Well, thanks for watching. If you found that useful, let me know. Subscribe. If you want me to do other kind of build walkthroughs, do let me know that. And check out my magic stuff. That's the bulk of my page. I do magic tricks. I do magic tutorials. So subscribe. Thanks for watching. We got there. See you next time.